Hey YouTube, Ashley here, back with another video. I'm Ash.
I'm Leah.
Okay, and today we're gonna talk about, something that's been going on, for a minute in the world. Everybody, been seeing it, of course, police brutality. And it's just like, we see what's going on the internet. It was recently something surfaced about this female that actually called the police herself, and she was calling because I don't know all the details of the situation, but she felt like somebody was breaking in or something, and you know I think she might have suffered from like some illness or maybe mental illness, and the police actually shot her dead, like unalive, like in the head, like like it was so uncalled for and so unnecessary because she didn't have no weapon. She wasn't opposing a threat to him or anything. And let's just talk about something. We're not saying that all police are bad, but it's it's a lot that goes on in the world, especially with minorities, about them ego tripping, because a lot of times it have to do with their ego. And as a police officer, you are a public servant, so you are supposed to protect and serve us. So you do have to have that empathy and that kind of source of, just being able to control yourself and don't escalate a situation that doesn't have to be escalated. If anything, you're supposed to try to de-escalate the situation. That's supposed to be your first go-to as a servant, or as to protect the people, yourself, and and everybody around them. Just the first thing you should do, if it's warranted or if it's possible, is to de-escalate the situation. And I just feel like it's a lot of videos that I see where they let their ego get the best of them, and they escalate it first without even trying to de-escalate it, and then next thing you know, they ended up on handcuffs in the ground, and it didn't even have to go that way because a lot of people, some people, well, a lot of people that get in those situations, they might not even been in that type of situation before, where they had to get tackled down to the ground and jumped on by police to get handcuffed, or whatever the situation is, and that can affect them by immensely. That can be like a traumatic experience for them. So why put through somebody through that when you don't have to? Like, a lot of them have bruised egos that they can't get let down. And we just gonna talk about that and how we feel about it, because we just, tired of seeing it. I know a lot of people talk about it, and it's going on all over the world. And like I said, they're not all bad apples. But when you even have one bad apple in your camp, on your team, in your station, it do kind of affect everybody. Even though you might have 10 good ones, 2 bad ones, that unfortunately that affects the 10, 20 good ones, like, because they are part of your team. Who are you without your team? So, like, I just think that, you know, we should, well, it is people that actually do something about it. It's protesters and things of that nature. So, it is stuff getting done about it, but we just gotta see like some real change and drastic change, because that woman that that just recently, it might have been like, it was this month that died. So he did actually get charged right then and there, and he is in jail, for murder. But it's like, he was your officer. That woman ain't never gonna come back. He might face consequences or whatever, but he still have his life, and he took a whole another innocent life. Or officer of the law took a whole another innocent life for no reason. And that's what we just don't want to see, and that's what we just tired of seeing. And we just expressing ourselves and thoughts of opinion because, we minorities and we live in this world and we see it. And I had situations where I ran into the police before, where I had that encounter with the police before. you know they did. It was one situation where I had they actually searched my car because she said that she smelled weed. So, and that's their excuse. I think this was before it was illegal. Legal. I think it's legal in Maryland and DC now, right? Weed.
I think it's legal in DC. I'm not for sure about Maryland, but we do have like medical weed facilities in Maryland, but you have to have a medical weed card for that. So like dispensaries, that's what I was trying to say. Dispensary.
Right.
It is certain dispensaries out here, but it's not as many dispensaries in Maryland than it is in DC. And in order for you to go to a dispensary in Maryland, you have to have your medical card. So I don't think it's legal here yet that I know of.
Right. What I was saying was she just checked my car because she claimed that she smelled weed. Like, they don't even have to. If they say that they smell it, it's like, okay, we can search your car now. Like, come on now. Like, it just gotta, it gotta just be some change. Of course, I wasn't worried because there was nothing in my car, but I'm just saying, even if it was something in my car and they actually found some, I just don't feel like they had the right to even do
Well, I
that.
mean, if that's what they probable cause was, I mean, any officer that pulled you over, they had to supposedly have a probable cause to search. But
Right,
you have
and
the
it's
option to
just
say no.
right, and even if you say no, they bring the dog out. So it's like you say no, they bring the dog out, the dog get a hit, they can search it. So it's like their ego not just gonna let you say no and then they just drive off. Unfortunately, it doesn't end like that in those situations. I haven't seen one video where somebody be like, "Oh, can I search your car?" And they say no, and the police officer like, "Okay, have a good day." No, they gonna be like, "All right, let's get the dog on the line." Like, that. Like, it doesn't end like that. So
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, that's how it is out here. How do you feel about it?
I
Like,
mean, this police brutality been going on for years. To be honest, I say since like civil rights movement. That's how long police brutality been going on since the early 1950s, 60s, when the civil rights was going on. So this is not something new like that just started happening. Like it's been going on for many years. Um, what really kind of set the and I also noticed like I mean I could be wrong, but every time an instance like this happens, it's always I can. It's always the black, getting beat on or you know as far as that matter. Like I could be wrong, but I never seen like an incident where somebody outside the African American community getting beat on forcefully by the police or any law enforcement that I can think of. It's always in the media, African American getting beat on or unalive or whatever the case may be. And as far as law enforcement, I don't know what needs to happen. Maybe some type of psychological evaluation, maybe to see where these people who's trying to get into law enforcement, where their minds at, and maybe put them in like certain situations where
do they
how they
train
should.
them for empathy? Like, is that a requirement? Because I feel like that should be a requirement.
I don't know what. To be honest, I don't know what they train you on. Whatever they train you on, I don't think.
I
I
don't
think it
think you
should
can
be a
be
thorough.
trained
I
for
think it should be
empathy
a
though. You just
thorough.
gotta have it in you.
Yeah, I think it should be. I think like with most law enforcement, I know they want you to have like some type of educational background, rather it's if you went to school for like defense. Or, I mean, if you went to school for like some type of law, or if you had like previous jobs in law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
But I do know that they do give people that's interested in law enforcement, a psychological background,
Evaluation.
yeah, evaluation.
Okay.
But I don't think that's just enough to have a person that's trying to protect the community is enough, especially when you got more cops, when you got some cops out here that's just doing way too much. Or I don't know if it's the power or authority that they feel like they have, and like you were saying,
Ego
this
tripping.
ego. Because that video I saw with the lady that got unalive, I think it was unnecessary, especially when they was getting ready to leave her house. Like, I think that was just, and then it's like people saying it was her psycho, she had some type of mental illness. I don't really care about the mental illness. If the lady called and saying that it's somebody around her house and she's feeling uncomfortable and she feel like the police can do something about it, the last thing you would think is the police sitting here unaliving you for an incident that you caused. So it's like who do we have in incidents like that where we can trust somebody to help us when we are in need?
Yeah, because she called the people who she thought was supposed to help and serve her. Just help her out in the situation. Who do you call when you feel like your house burglary or a burglar in your house or his kid, kicked through the door or, somebody after you or you feel like you're in danger? What's the first thing you do? You call 911. And you're not supposed to be afraid to call them because that's what we have them for. That's what makes this war in order. Like, imagine if we just had criminals just running around freely. Like, they'll probably be destroyed. You know, a lot of people probably won't be alive, or this world will be a trash. Or, everything will be wrong. That's why they have the systems that they have set it up. People incarcerated and
Yeah,
stuff.
because it's gonna get to a point
So
where now we can't even trust the law enforcement to help us because they sitting here. Some people, some of the law enforcement sitting here taking upon their hand unaliving us when we the one that called for y'all protection. So now it's gonna get to the point where we got us as civilians protecting ourselves, no longer calling on law enforcement for help. And you don't want to get to that point.
yeah, and it's just like always too late after the fact. I just feel like it should be an instance where we can prevent it before it even happened. Because yes, people sue the police all the time for using a show of force unnecessarily, tasing, anything force, like tasing, tackling down, that's a show of force, right? So if they feel like they did that unnecessarily, of course they're gonna file civil suits or press charges and stuff. But it's like, it's always after the fact. You already put them in that traumatic experience, and for a lot of people, that's the first time they went through. So you don't know how much psychologically that they have to deal with, and it's probably hard to get that out in their head now. You probably really traumatize those people, and you can't undo that. Like, you could, do the steps that it take after that, but them people living with that and going through that, you don't know how it's gonna make them react or go through the rest of their life. They could get help, but it's gonna take a lot of time, process, and healing. And unfortunately for the lady, she never gonna get a chance because she's no longer here. And so we just need to prevent it before it even happens now. Like, why are they getting a chance to do this and then we just do something after the fact? Like, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
That's how I feel about it. I think just prevent it before it happens. And like we said, we're not saying all the seeds are bad, but the ones that do, which is a lot that do, and sometimes they outweigh the good. So we just gotta prevent it before it happens. Like, you see, partners, if they even see that their, officer moving any type of way funny or anything, like, I don't know what they train them, if their partner acting up, but just stop it right there in the situation. If you know what's wrong, just because he a police officer don't mean you're supposed to have his or her back if they in the wrong. If they in the wrong, check the situation again right then and there before it moves any further. If you feel like he escalating and it can lead to something, just stop it right then and there before it do.
Mm-hmm.
Because after it happened, it's too late. So yeah, that's what I feel about that. You got any more, situations
No,
and
I
stuff
mean,
like
as
you want to
far
talk
as like I
about?
was saying, like I think it should be a little bit more. As far as like employment in the law enforcement, I think it should be a little bit more active when it comes to the officers' mental and you know as far as doing maybe a monthly psycho evaluation
Yeah,
to I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but yeah,
psychological, I think.
yeah, test maybe every month.
Yeah.
Do a wellness checkup. I think that's very important. Um, I want to say, I mean, maybe recommending therapy because you're all dealing with the public, and
Mhm.
as a law enforcement, you do want to protect yourself as well. But I don't think in this situation that lady posed any type of threat
Mhm.
towards the officer, even though they were saying, oh, she was trying to throw water. But he was too far away from her to even throw some water, hot water, and he had the option to step back. She didn't have the option to step back when it came to that bullet.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think the way officers handle certain
But even if she
incidents.
was trying to, if he feel like she was trying to throw water, is that a reason to move fatal? Cause he pulled out a gun, a real gun,
No, he shouldn't have pulled out the
not the
pistol.
taser, not
Yeah, he could
not
have.
a pepper spray. You just went straight to fatal.
Right.
So it still doesn't
So
make
to
sense.
me, like they were saying, that was premeditated because he shouldn't have pulled out the weapon at all, especially if you did. Like that lady didn't pose no threat. That's all I can say. She didn't pose no threat. She wasn't trying to do anything malicious towards the guy, except before it happened, she did say something to him, but that ain't really enough to be like, oh, let me take out my pistol. Cause like you said, he
He
could
wasn't
have did the
opposing threat.
taser, he could have did anything,
Mhm.
and she wasn't that close to him. Period, for her to be posing a threat
Right.
in any situation. Like I understand you
Yeah,
here
in any
to
situation when you're dealing with a tough situation, y'all supposed to be trained to deal with that.
right,
Like
especially when
they don't.
she called you. Y'all didn't have a call stating that something was going on where y'all had to go. Like she called y'all because of something that she felt was going on around her house. So if it was another situation, like y'all was pulling somebody off because whatever probable cause that y'all had to pull that person over because of suspicious activity, then that's what it would have been about. But this wasn't nothing suspicious because she called y'all.
Period. And we just think it's wrong, and we just here to tell you about the situation, and how we feel about the situation, how we gotta do better as a community. Period. To bring some change, and that's just that on that. Like something gotta give. And I'm signing out, Ash.
Sign out, Leah.